Is that a Biden's, Emily, under that monarch? Some kind of fixed seed. What is
I
it?
think that's a Wedelia.
Oh, never mind.
I think
They're invasive.
it's a little blurry. It's hard to tell.
Good,
It's
good.
artistic. It's artistic.
Yeah, but I love the slide and the honeybee up there.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm Elaine Christian with the City of West Palm Beach Office of Sustainability, and we are so excited to chat about powerful pollinators. If you have any questions during the presentation, please drop them in the chat box and we will have Q&A at the end. I will also be sending out a follow-up email after today's presentation, which will include the recording and resources mentioned today. We have a very special guest speaker with us today, CJ McCartney, who is the former vice president of the Palm Beach County Native Plant Society and currently serves on the MasterGardener steering committee. She has a wealth of knowledge about natural habitats and of course pollinators. So I'm really looking forward to learning from her today. So let's go ahead and transition to CJ to learn more about our powerful pollinators.
How am I doing here? Hey, everybody. I'm CJ McCartney, and I am going to talk about the big picture of pollinators today. And thank you, Elaine. West Palm Beach is doing so many things to teach residents and offer resources for residents, from rain barrels to wildflower seeds. And I think Elaine's going to tell you all about that at the end. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. And also Emily Morois is on with us today, and she's going to help me with Q&A. She's head of the MasterGardener program and the Native Canopy program and is our horticulture agent. So let me get rolling here. My plan today is, what is a pollinator? Why do they matter? And how do you get them? So what is a pollinator? It's an animal that carries pollen from the male part of the flower to the female part of the flower that results in seeds and fruits. According to U.S. Department of Agriculture, 80% of all flowering trees and bushes require pollination, and that's kind of how critical they are to our ecosystem, as well as 35% of the world's food supply. So there's a lot of research done in how we save these pollinators and support them. And that's why they get a whole week called National Pollinators Week. And that's what we're in the middle of today. We're going to do a proclamation later this afternoon and offer tours, and there's displays at libraries from the MasterGardener program. As I said, most flowering plants depend on them. And there's two kinds. There's the incidental, which is the butterflies and moths. And then there's the big heavy hitters, the heroes, and those are the bees. They are specially designed to pollinate. And the honeybees actually came over with the European settlers because they wanted their honey. And we have native bees too. I'm sorry.
Don't mind this.
Okay. And I'm sorry, someone just came in this office. And there's other types of pollination, not as important. We have 12% of wind, and that's like corn and oats. And water does 2%, which is the seagrasses. And they're self-pollinating like tomatoes. And when I was doing research for this presentation, it said that bees do a bee vibration that helps tomatoes pollinate. So boy, we really do need these bees. And what makes them so successful as pollinators? Pollen sticks to them. They have specialized structure called the pollen baskets. And you can see where my cursor is right there. Those are pollen baskets on this honeybee. And I have some other photos of it. They're highly mobile and they're prolific. They go flower to flower to flower to flower of the same species, meaning they're cross-pollinating it. And a little fact I discovered is they can carry 35% of their body weight as they buzz around. This is a green bee. This is a native bee. And Do you see this pollen packet here that we pollen basket? Well, this is their proboscis. They have this tongue that can scoop out pollen from flowers. These bees, these native bees, as well as the Europeans, really do make a difference. And there's a lot of efforts being made to save them and protect them. Why they matter: a third of fruits and vegetables, 2/3 of flowering plants. You all, there'd be no more chocolate if we got rid of all the pollinators. Our coffee. Look at that list of what's required: melons, peaches, potatoes, pumpkins, vanilla, tequila. But really, no more chocolate, apples, coffees. They are dependent on pollination. And it produces 20 billion worth of products in the US every year. And, you know, like with everything, climate change, habitat loss, pollinators are in perils along with a lot of other species and plants. Degradation is really about, there's no diversity in the landscape. Grass does not offer many pollinating opportunities for a pollinator. We need flowers, we need things that have nectar for them to pollinate. And pesticides, you know, selective pesticide use is fine. It's just how we do it. And we do it only in the evening because they're not flying around, so they won't get an overspray. Don't spray the blooms, and use the liquid rather than the powder, because the bees will pick up that powder because they're fuzzy. If you notice back with that photo, they're very fuzzy. So they pick up what's around them, and that's how they carry the pollination. Exotic plants and invasive species are making a huge difference because they're taking over from the natives. The natives and our native pollinators grew up together. They have a very, very positive symbiotic relationship. And when you read and see at a store, it says, you know, special triple bloom, whereas it used to be a single bloom. There's no longer any way for that pollinator to get to the nectar, or the nectar has been bred out of it. And disease, the colony collapse that I know pretty much everybody's aware of, that's happening with the honeybees. So there's a lot of reasons why we need to protect these pollinators, but also offer them a habitat. And this is the difference of the native bees and the honeybees. Honeybees have large hives, and there's one species here. And as I said, they were brought over by the Europeans. We have 316 native bees, wasps in Florida, of which 29 are endemic. And endemic means that they only exist in Florida. They're special to us. Like there's plants that you only can find in Florida. We're an amazing state in our just diversity of plants and pollinators. And most are solitary. They nest in the ground or in cavities. Bumblebees are social. There can be up to, I think I read 500 bumblebees in a colony versus 1,000 with bees, European bees. And they pollinate more effectively than the honeybees, as I said, because they grew up together. And our native bees are also insurance. As this colony collapse continues, our native pollinators can take over. We just need to support them. And we're more diverse. As I said, we have 316 species, of which only 29 are here in Florida. And our pollinators do about 3 billion a year in Florida. The support team, the people who help out the bees, are the butterflies and moths. And there's bats and mosquitoes and other pollinators, but I'm just going to focus on butterflies and moths. Butterflies take care of the day shift. They're not as effective as a bee because they're incidental. There are two kinds. There's the intentional, as I said earlier, and the incidental. Butterflies are the incidental. They get pollination right around their face and on their legs. That's not really what they're doing. And there's their proboscis right there. You don't see baskets on their legs. They're incidental. but they are vital, especially in natural areas, parks, and managed lands, because they're out there pollinating and supplementing the bees. And they can go after the more tubular plants, like hummingbirds are pollinators, which we get over winter here. And because they'll go into the long shape because they're bigger, like this Palamedes swallowtail here. You can see this is the thistle, purple thistle, that it can pull nectar from. And they like red, yellow, and orange and no fragrance, primarily for what they prefer. And the moths are the night shift. They pick up during the night and pollinate. There's some new research. They used to think moths were not so great as a pollinator, but there's been new research that shows that they really are quite effective pollinators. And they actually pollinate more than the butterflies. I mean, yes, during the day. They like white, fragrant flowers. So when you put in your pollinator garden, think about what they like as to what you plant. I'm going to talk a minute about gardening for pollinators, because this is one way we can make a real difference. Sunny for bees and insects, sunny, open areas, drained soil. And we need diversity in our yards. And research has shown that even with habitat loss that's going on, we can supplement it and we can make a difference by putting in from a very small patch to a large patch. And I'm going to get in more detail about that in a minute. You know, pollinators are here in South Florida 12 months a year. So we need to make sure that when we plant so that we have blooms 12 months a year. Because they don't just say, oh, it's December, don't think I'm going to eat again until spring till those wildflowers come back. So we need to think about blooming plants for overwinter too, and color. But you know, I'm finding pollinators like everything. Just give it to them, they'll come. Butterflies need shady as well as sunny. This is our state butterfly right here, the zebra longwing. And it actually prefers shade. If you put corky stem in for it, because I'm going to tell you in a minute about what they like. They prefer the shade, the cool. You'll see them fluttering about. They have really long wings. But others like the fritillaries, they like a lot of sun. And you need to put in nectar as well as larval host plants. And always native plants are the best. And you need a mix of shapes from small to large, because the hair streaks are like the bees. They like the short pockets on a flower, as well as the bigger butterflies like the trumpets, the tubular. And you group flowers so that they can go from bloom to bloom to bloom within the same species. And because I'm a master gardener, and I'll be thrown out of the program if I don't say this, our slogan is right plant, right place. So do your research. This is how I think. I used to think, oh, somebody should do something about that. Somebody should pick up that plastic. Somebody should plant that. Then one day I realized I was somebody. I could do something about that. And I started picking up plastic and started doing my part. And part of that was offering habitat. So today, one of the major reasons I'm here is to talk about how can we together make a difference? What can we do? The city of West Palm Beach is offering you tools. They're offering you rain barrels, wildflower seeds. Our job is to make that happen, and we can. We can create a pollinator garden. Space doesn't matter. Research is showing if you just have a small pollinator pot out on your patio or a balcony or in your yard, it will have a positive impact. These pollinators are desperate to find places to do their job, and they're willing to do their job if we give them flowers and blooming and safe. I don't want to say no pesticides, because sometimes they're necessary, but that we limit insecticides because it will kill them. I know I have a neighbor who has hives, And he said one morning a hive went out, they came back, they were dead the next morning. And pollinators are pretty consistent in where they go every day, these bees. And he suspects someone sprayed a bush and they ate that bush and they were all dead the next morning. Could have been something else. That's only speculation. So it really does matter that we think before we do things that will harm pollinators. And as I said, plant in clumps, 12 months a year. They're hungry 12 months a year. They need that nectar. And ground covers, I think Elaine said she likes fog fruit a lot. It is the coolest little ground cover. And it's a host plant for the white peacock. It's just the best. I have a photo of it. And sunshine mimosa are ground covers that you can put in your yard, and they can exist with grass or they can exist on their own. And they offer nectar and nesting. And native plants are just geared for our climate. And they're pretty drought tolerant. It doesn't mean you don't ever have to water them, but they're more geared towards our climate. And boy, do they pack in the nectar, and the pollinators and the native plants work together. One thing about butterflies, and I'm going to do this very quickly. I don't know what my time is like. Butterflies only lay their eggs on a host plant. Monarchs on milkweeds, fritillaries, zebras, and julias want passion vine. And if you put in a passion vine, you have an opportunity to get 3 butterflies, of which the zebra longwing is one of them. Up here, I've got my mouse on, these are the seeds that the eggs that the butterfly will lay. They break open, they eat the pocket that gives them their initial nourishment, then they turn into caterpillars. This is a zebra caterpillar. Then after a certain amount of time, couple weeks, they go into what's called a chrysalis and they pupate for a couple of weeks. And guess what comes out of there? Full blown, ready to fly butterfly. And here's a photo of the bloom of a corky stem passion vine. They eat it up. The plant, the vine, is designed to be eaten. So I plant mine behind coral honeysuckle. So I have this beautiful coral honeysuckle that my hummingbirds and larger butterflies like to nectar on. And behind it is all this corky stem that's just, those caterpillars are just chomping down on it and you can't really see it. So when you do your host plants, your larval host plants, try to camouflage them in some way. If you're concerned about your landscaping, which we all are, in a way that they can exist, because these plants are designed to be eaten by these caterpillars. That's what keeps them healthy. Leave your blooms on your palm trees. These are after they've bloomed. I didn't have any photos of the flowers, but those flowers are just packed with nectar. And the bees will just really get a lot of nectar out of them, and you'll have very nice berries. These are 2 resources. IFAS, which is the MasterGardener program, University of Florida. Go to IFAS and Google gardening with wildlife, and you'll get a list of plants. And Florida Wildflower Foundation really has a lot of resources for how to attract bees. This is a Biden's alba Spanish needle, which we're pulling all the time. I'm going to tell you, these things bloom all the time. They're packed with nectar. And if you can, I love them. Some people don't like them because they're everywhere. But that's why they're everywhere. They're feeding our pollinators. We have a help desk here at the MasterGardener program. So there's no excuses if you've got a question. We're here for you. Monday through Friday, 9 to 4. You can email us, you can come see us, you can call us. We're available. Our job as volunteers are to support this community. And Emily's on today, who is our leader, who really inspires us. There she is, Emily Marwa. She inspires us and brings all these innovative programs to us. And she is our urban horticulture agent. And she manages all the master gardeners. Yeah, sometimes it's a big job. And she also handles the native canopy program for the county. So before we go to questions, I'm going to turn it over to Elaine, and then I'll come back, and Emily and I are going to handle your questions. Now I stop share.
Yes, and thank you so much, CJ. That was a wonderful presentation. But I am going to share just a few resources from the Office of Sustainability with the City of West Palm Beach that some of you may be able to take advantage of. As I mentioned earlier, so it is National Pollinator Week right now. So that is why we're here talking about powerful pollinators. But you know, we should be having these conversations all the time, every week. We don't need National Pollinator Week to talk about our pollinators. They are so important. But this week is just especially important just so we can highlight just how beneficial they are and what we can do to provide habitat and food for these really special creatures. So we are doing a wildflower seed giveaway for West Palm Beach residents and businesses. So we have a pollinator page where you can go on there and you can fill out your request form. I believe we have 11 or 12 different types of wildflower seeds. And they are native, so you can take your pick. And we always encourage you, you know, like CJ said, right plant, right place. You know, you want to make sure that you're looking for these wildflowers that will grow well in your, wherever you would like to plant them, whether it's a shady spot, a sunny spot, whether it's dry or moist, because we do have some wildflowers on there that do prefer more moist areas. So you just want to be on the lookout for that. And we also have a native tree giveaway program. So our next giveaway is going to be on July 24th. We actually had one last night. So our next one is going to be on July 24th, and we give away 4 trees per property per year. And again, it is for City of West Palm Beach residents and businesses. We have gone online with this. So we used to just bring a bunch of trees out like to the green market and we would give them away, but we've transferred this online so that you can have time to actually pick out your trees. You can decide which ones you want. You can read about them. Again, make sure right plant, right place. And we also have safe parking lot pickups for you. So it's really simple. Just go onto our website, wpb.org/10ktrees. Since our last giveaway was last night, I don't have the new giveaway information up just yet, but it will be on there. It should be up within the next week or so, I'd say, but be on the lookout for that. We also have a rain barrel giveaway program. So as CJ also mentioned, we give away free 55-gallon rain barrels. And our next giveaway won't be until October 2021, but definitely something to look forward to. If you are interested, visit our webpage, wpb.org/savewater. Again, this is for City of West Palm Beach water customers. So if that's you, I would definitely look into it. We have just so many great resources, and these are just a few. Another water conservation strategy or resource, I should say, that we have is to upgrade your older toilets. And I was talking to CJ and Emily before we started this program today, but you know, I know more about toilets than I ever thought that I would. But we have given away so many vouchers for people to upgrade their older toilets. So older toilets are using like 5, 6, 7 gallons per flush. And a high efficiency toilet, which is what the vouchers are for, only use 1.28 gallons per flush. So that's a huge difference. Water is such a precious resource. So we really have to look at ways that we can reduce our water usage and conserve as much as we can. And again, we have a whole water conservation page, so wpb.org/savewater. You'll find that on there. And this is just our general info. So you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at WPB Green. Also, our email address is on there, and our main webpage, which is wpb.org/green. And again, as I mentioned, when we first started this program, I will be sending out a follow-up email for everyone that registered. So if you missed any of the resources that we mentioned today, I will be linking that in the follow-up email along with the recording. So you should have all that information. And of course, you know, you can always just follow up and just reply back and ask any questions that you have. But I see we have some questions that have already come in right now, so I want to get to those. So CJ and Emily, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. So it looks like Rosalind mentioned invasive plants that we really don't want in our pollinator gardens. So CJ, can you think off the top of your head some plants that often go into butterfly gardens that maybe we shouldn't be putting there to begin with? And you're muted, so you have to, to unmute. Oh, can you unmute yourself, CJ?
Yes, I just gave a beautiful answer to that. No, I'll do it again. Mexican petunia, the purple, bloom all year. It's invasive and it shoots out seeds 20 to 30 feet and it just continues to spread. It goes underground as well as aerial. And it's not native. And there's some really powerful native alternatives like the Biden's Alba I showed you. And salvia. I've got a picture here of this on the left here is tropical sage salvia, which is native. These are such better alternatives. And here's a rosin weed. See, I prepared for this question because I got it Wednesday night and I wasn't prepared for it. This is beach verbena, which is a ground cover. Is this beautiful? Don't you want this in your little garden? This is partridge pea, which is a host plant for the yellow sulfurs. You'll get yellow butterflies. This is spotted bee balm, and this is argyratum. And these are native plants that offer, they're packed with nectar. I just love this bird. Okay. That's my front yard. I lost my grass. I don't know what happened to it. It went away. Those dune sunflowers just took it over. Ask my neighbors. So those are just a few. This is a salvia here. They really are so much more effective and really more beautiful than things like Mexican petunia. Was that a good answer? Emily, got anything to add?
Yeah, there's Lantana camera is another one. The lantana that you see that's really colorful in the big box stores. There's a nettle leaf. Oh gosh, what is porterweed is another one that's commonly sold for butterfly gardens that will take over and is invading our natural areas. I guess the real point is you need to kind of do research before you buy your plants. Make sure there's something that should go in your garden. And so I did actually put a link in the chat for the UF IFAS assessment tool. So if you go to that link and you put in what plant you're looking to purchase, it will tell you if it is already invasive, if it's potentially invasive, or if it's okay to use. And all is based off of research that's been done. So that's a really great tool to use if what you're putting in your garden, you want to make sure it should be there. So I did put that link in the chat box.
And something I wanted to add is, I know Elaine mentioned it, and as Master Gardeners, we're doing a wildflower seed giveaway too. Go to the libraries and come in and see us. We've got beautiful wildflower seeds like West Palm Beach does. You have to give them a moment. They're not instant plants. And when you plant them, they will come back. And they're just not instant. And they're more beautiful. Once they get established, they come back every year and they bloom and they're native. So we're used to instant landscaping, and native plants may take a little longer, but overall they bloom better, they live better, and they require less maintenance than instant plants. Okay, next question. I go on and on and on.
Somebody was asking about plant nurseries around Stewart to Palm Beach. They need to find nectar and host plants. I could answer this one, CJ, if you want me to.
Okay, go for it.
So we can't really recommend like a specific nursery, but you can go to plantrealflorida.org. You can go there and they have a a really good tool to find nurseries that are in your area. These are specifically native nurseries or nurseries that sell natives. So you can go on that website. They also have a really good tool to help you find plants for your yard where you put in your conditions, and it will give you recommendations of plants to use for that spot. So that's a good website. But if you're in Palm Beach County, we have quite a few native nurseries. We're actually very, very fortunate. And I can mention some. I'll mention a group of them, and they're all very good. But I'm not going to be specific about one. But we have Southern Native Nursery, Amelia's Smarty Plants, let's see, Meadow Beauty, Indian Trails Native Nursery, DR Bates. I think those are the ones that have a lot of our pollinator plants. But we have a ton of nurseries in our county. And you can also call them MasterGardener Help Desk. We have some resources or some papers we can give you with more nurseries on there. But we're very fortunate to live in a spot where we have a lot of plants that we can pick up. So do you have any others to add to that, CJ?
No, but with the native canopy program that Emily manages for the county, we have a list of native nurseries with that too. And I'm sure Elaine does too, that we all have resources because we really want you to plant these natives. They matter. And both county and city are doing giveaways. They just really make a difference. And we need to reestablish shade and plant trees and shrubs that give habitat. And one thing I want to throw in that I meant to say, but you know, I am a talker and I can run late, so I try to blow through that, is when you prune, throw some of those twigs on the ground or against your fence and give bees and pollinators a place to nest, because they will. And they don't, you know, they need places to hide and be safe as well as to raise their young. I'm done.
And I don't know, Elaine, if it's okay if I can mention, but we do, for the Native Canopy Program, do have a giveaway this weekend, or it's the 3rd. So it's cool that we can, if you live in the county, you can get trees for the county, but if you live in West Palm Beach, you can get both. You can get plants from the city and the county. So I can go ahead and put, if it's okay, I'll put the link in the chat box for you guys if you want to double up on your plant. So.
Of course, yes, definitely. And
Yeah.
I see that some people have asked for CJ's email and for Emily, your email too. And I don't know if you guys want to share that, you know.
It's on the screen.
Oh, that's right. And
beachbirding@gmail.com.
There we go.
See, it's instant. Ask, I give it. It's right there. Just email me, really. And let me go back here. This is the MasterGardener@pbcgov.org. Emily, do you have a different one, or is this the best one to get you?
Yeah, that one is probably the best one, the MasterGardener at PBC. Yep.
It comes right here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So there's no reason not to get in touch. And there's that beautiful fog fruit again. Look at that. Can't you imagine that within your grass and all those peacocks flying around? I know you see it.
I know,
Okay.
it's so, I love it. It's just so cute too. Whenever I see them, they're so little, but so cute.
I know. These are tiny, tiny flowers.
We had another question about the rain barrel giveaway. So whether it will extend to other cities or do other cities in the county do something similar. And to answer your question, I am not aware of any other rain barrel giveaways in the county. You know, with the city of West Palm Beach, we get our funding from taxpayer dollars. So that is why we focus on our area, you know, to give back to those that receive water from the city of West Palm Beach and live and work in the city of West Palm Beach. So we focus our programs on West Palm Beach residents and businesses. You can always, you know, I always tell people, if you live in a different area, if you live in a different municipality and you're interested in some of our programs, reach out to your municipality or to your county and let them know that you're interested in it, because if we don't know what you want, we don't know to give it to you. So it definitely goes a long way for you to just express what you're interested in and even let them know like, hey, West Palm Beach is doing this. It would be really great if we had this in our area too. So that goes a long way. And
Especially the rain barrel. Sorry, Elaine. I
yeah,
didn't mean
no,
to
it's
jump.
okay.
But that rain barrel that you all do is an amazing rain barrel.
Well, thank you. There's so much you can do with the rain barrel too, not just water your garden. You can even wash your car if you wanted to, or wash your pet. So a lot of different uses there. In the Q&A, we have some questions. What plants do you suggest for butterfly gardens in a small space? So this person lives in a condo and can only plant in a space about 20 square feet.
You want to take it, Emily? You want me to? You want to take it?
Well, I guess it depends on how much sun you have. So space isn't just the only factor. It's if you don't have much sun, I mean, that could be an issue too. So, I mean, if you had ultimately full sun, there's a lot of different things you could plant there. You could do different salvias. There's quite a few. You could do gaillardia, which is blanket flower. Let's see. Oh, there's so many. Rosinweed is one of my favorites. But if it's a little bit shadier, you could do some of the wild petunia is one that's really good. And that's a host plant, a nectar plant. What else is good for shade? You could do some salvias.
Climbing aster.
Climbing aster. So you could actually, I mean, you can fit a lot into 20 square feet, and you really don't want your butterfly garden to be that big because butterfly gardens can take quite a bit of maintenance. So you could do a lot with that, but make sure you're checking how much sun you have because that will make a big difference on what you can plant there.
I believe
That's climbing aster right there. Wouldn't you love to have that in your yard? It's a vine. You could put it in that small space and it blooms over winter. So, okay, winter's taken care of and all the other plants that Emily mentioned. I couldn't resist, sorry.
There's so many beautiful photos that you have on there and so many beautiful plants too. I have loved your presentation, CJ. It's really informative and very visually appealing too. But I also wanted to mention the Florida, I believe it's and you guys probably know more than I do, but and I may get this wrong, the Florida Wildflower Foundation, I believe they have the planting guide that really,
Here it is.
wildflower planting guide. Okay, so, and it will show you, how much sun they require, how much water, how much space and everything. So that's a really great guide. And I'm sorry, I've looked through so many pollinator pages over the past few weeks. So I'm getting them all kind of jumbled up, but I will link that too in the follow-up email to everyone so that you guys have that available to reference.
And Elaine, we have them here.
Oh yeah.
We have them as a resource. If you come here, or I don't know, Emily, if I'm volunteering for something that you don't want to happen, but we could probably mail them out or scan it and email it to you because Elaine, you're so right. Florida Wildflower Foundation, check them out on Instagram and Twitter. They have amazing information there and they offer grants too. So they're a very powerful support system for wildflowers and pollinators.
And when you say you have them there, are you referring to mounts?
Yeah, we're in front. We're that building that faces the airport off Military Trail. This is our address. So if you follow a plane, you'll be right in front of us because I'm surprised you haven't heard one going over. I'm down here today because we're doing the proclamation. But we have all kinds of resources here. And Emily has put out a table in the front about all the butterflies, all the pollinators, all these materials are just sitting there waiting for you. And Emily, where are they at the libraries?
Let's see, the Acreage Library, the Belglade Library, and the Hagen Ranch Library all have pollinator displays, so you can stop in and pick up some materials.
Yeah.
Oh, we need them at our library.
Sorry.
Okay.
Next year.
We share. We'll trade them for some wildflower seeds.
Well, to get that set up. And CJ, I believe you're going to have to leave soon, but one quick, well, I don't know if it'll be quick, but are there any pollinator plants that iguanas do not eat? Because this has been something that I struggle with personally in my yard, and someone also asked this, so I'm very curious if you have any suggestions.
You asked me?
Either one.
You know, iguanas are a real problem. They're invasive and they can destroy a landscape. They're a huge problem for us. I don't know anything that they don't like. Do you, Emily? I have struggled with them. They just landed. I'm up in Palm Beach Gardens, and I had one in my garden last week, first one. So they're slowly taking over. They're a real problem.
Yeah, we do have like a UFIFIS publication that you can find online about iguanas. And I know there are some plants that they don't like, usually ones that have like a latexy sap in them. But as far as natives go, I haven't seen a list like that that's been published yet, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. And I'm not sure many things are protected. So you just have to plant a whole lot more. That's all. And then you should be okay. But yeah, they're definitely a problem.
Chase them out. Chase them out. They're really hard to deal with. I understand.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both so much. You have offered so many different resources and education today. So I really, really appreciate you both spending your time with us on this Friday afternoon. And thank you all for joining us today, everyone that's in the audience. I hope you have a great rest of your Friday and a great weekend. And hopefully you can get out and enjoy some of these native flowers. Maybe you can start spotting them even when you're walking around your neighborhood, hopefully. So thank you all, and I hope to see you next time.
Thank you, Elaine, so much for having us.
Thank
you.
you.
Really appreciate it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.